Mr. Chair, members, I'd like to present AB 399, and this will provide access to financial support for California's classified school employees, such as janitors, lunch staff, and groundskeepers who make significant difference in the daily lives of our students. Despite the important and hard work of classified employees, many struggle to support their families with incomes that are often inadequate to pay for food, housing, and health care. Unlike other employees who receive unemployment insurance benefits during their regular seasonal breaks, classified employees are ineligible to receive the same benefits. This committee has led the charge in ensuring that we help to right this inequity. We're at it again. We have a smart proposal before you. There's a phase-in. We think we can get to yes. And with that, and your indulgence, Mr. Chair, we have witnesses who've come from a mighty long way to speak to this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Please go ahead. Witnesses in support of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Renee Bayardo with SEIU California. We're one of the co-sponsors of the bill. We have with us today one of our members, Makiba Flanagan, who flew up from Los Angeles. So I'm just going to turn the time over to her and let her tell her story.
Hi, good morning. My name is Makiba Flanagan, and I'm a school bus driver. I decided to be a school bus driver when I was a student at Crenshaw High School. It seemed like the perfect job. I love kids. What I didn't realize was how hard it would be for the summer. I'm a single mom of 5 kids attending Los Angeles school. I haven't had a summer job for 6 years. I look everywhere. I applied for the airport shuttles, McDonald's jobs. I studied massage therapy and HVAC maintenance. Trust me, I'm a hustler all summer long. But most places tell me the same thing. We are not interested in someone who can only work for 2 months. So every year I apply for unemployment insurance. Every year I'm denied. I appeal and wait on hold and go to hearings and make endless phone calls. So far, I guess you could say I'm lucky. I have won my appeals, but my first check usually don't come until Christmas time. I can never catch up. I can't save money because always I have a late bill to pay. I see other school workers getting denied their appeal and live in fear every single year that might not happen. But I make sure my kids don't worry. They never know we are struggling because that's what moms is for. They never know the reason we moved from our home for 12 years was because landlady finally got tired of me getting behind on rent. They don't know that sometimes we are on public assistance. They don't know that I have to call the electric company to arrange to have my bills stretch over a payment plan. I set a good vibe on my bus. I know I have a difference in kids' lives. I teach them manners. Every morning I say good morning out loud. I make the boys be gentlemen and let the girls go on first. Yes, I'm a bus driver, but in a lot of ways, I'm a coach, a teacher, and a school psychologist too. I came to Sacramento today to ask you to support Assembly Bill 399 so that hard workers, employees like me, can support our families during the summer jobs. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, in support.
Libby Sanchez, on behalf of Laborers Local 777, also representing classified school employees. This will merely provide a modicum of a surety to similarly situated school employees who, through no fault of their own, are unemployed annually, that they will be able to rely on a modest amount of unemployment insurance. Classified school employees are the lowest paid employees in the education system, so this really makes a huge difference in their economic viability. And the concerns raised by the previous witness regarding inability to secure short-term employment during the summertime is very real for all of our employees. People are reticent to hire people that they know are going to have to go back to their regular job at the end of the summer. So for those reasons, we're in strong support of this important bill. Thank you.
There's a motion and second to approve the bill. We're still hearing speakers in support. Please go ahead.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair and members, Kendra Harris with the California Federation of Teachers. We're pleased to co-sponsor this legislation. We want to thank the Assembly member for carrying this important bill. Our members have been loud and clear in telling us how important access to unemployment benefits between terms is to them. As you heard from the SEIU witness, our members are saying that the months, especially in the summer, are an extreme time of financial hardship, and they're stressed financially and they're struggling to support their families, and they find it difficult to make long-term financial decisions. So for these reasons, we ask that you support this bill today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Speakers in support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Mitch Seaman with the California Labor Federation here in strong support of the bill. The unemployment insurance system was designed to be pretty straightforward, that if a worker is able and available to work and is trying to find work but it's not there, if they meet the qualification requirements, then they should receive the benefits. All this bill does is make sure that that applies to these workers across the board and ends the specific statutory discrimination against them. We'd urge your support.
Thank you, sir. Any other speakers in support? If not, speakers in opposition? Any speakers in opposition? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Jeff Vaca, representing the California Association of School Business Officials. Our opposition to the bill is based on fiscal concerns. We recognize the critical role that classified employees play in school districts. We appreciate the efforts in the version of this year's bill to address those fiscal concerns with the phase-in. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, we do believe that this is going to cost millions of dollars. And even though school districts are doing well in this year's budget, under the local control funding formula, they're still in recovery mode from the Great Recession. And under the terms of that local control funding formula, we would be having to absorb these costs at the same time that we would be trying to build, restore, and enhance programs for English learner students and other disadvantaged students under the LCFF. So regretfully, we must oppose this bill because of those fiscal concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Jeff Frost, representing the Orange County Department of Education and Superintendent Al Maharis. We would second the comments that Mr. Vaca has just made. For Orange County, our analysis is that the cost to the school districts in Orange County in the first year would go from about $11 million to $17 million in terms of money having to be collected for the self-insurance fund. For that reason, we're opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other speakers in opposition? Yes.
Good morning, Patty Herrera, representing the Riverside County Schools. For the reasons articulated by Mr. Vaca, representing CASBO, we also share those fiscal concerns, particularly as school districts and those in Riverside County absorb increased expenditure obligations for STRS and PERS and other obligations that we have while we're trying to also educate our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. The speakers are completed. The witnesses, Mr. Calderon had a question.
Yeah, more of a comment, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the bill. This is, if I'm not wrong, very similar to AB 1638 that was carried by Assemblymember Bocanegra.
Yeah, he carried it twice, passed this committee twice.
And I remember I voted for that bill, and I remember this issue. Members, imagine when we are no longer in session, if when we were no longer in session, we didn't get paid. I mean, as it is for those of us that do have per diem while we're here, and then end up not getting per diem, it can be tough at times. But we still have our salary that we get. Imagine being in the position of these classified employees that when they are not working during school time, they don't receive anything. That's terrible. How could you survive? I couldn't survive. None of you could survive. How could we support our families? So how do we expect them to support their families? And as great as we are, because we're legislators, and if we tried to get a job at McDonald's during those few months, I don't know if we would.
They wouldn't take
Even if they wouldn't take us because of the timing. And so I can understand where they are coming from in terms of being able to find a job in those few months. And as much as I appreciate the argument of the cost, and it is a good argument, at the end of the day, we're legislators and we're forced to be up here to make decisions, and we're also forced to make sure we are making investments, and I think the best investment we can make is in human capital. And while it may be expensive for our schools, we need to find a way to fund that. But also think about this. when it comes to these employees, yeah, it costs money to fund them and have these benefits when they're not in session for school, but they also are parents and they have kids. And a major determining factor, especially me representing a lower income area, lower to moderate income area, is in how well kids do in school is, are they getting full meals at home? Are they going to bed hungry because they don't have food on the table because their families can't afford that money? That absolutely plays in to why we fund education, making sure kids have the greatest and best opportunities to be successful in school. And this is an important piece of that. And I wanted to thank you for the bill, and I look forward to voting aye.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Mays.
Sebastian, I'm not sure that if you've got this data, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else here that can answer this question, maybe for some of the school administrators, but for these classified employees that do work 10 months out of the year, then are off for 2 months out of the year, they do pay into unemployment insurance. That's correct, right?
No, they do not.
They do not at all.
They're barred by law. They withdraw with respect to the fund that they withdraw, and it may be in the analysis. There's a special fund that they would draw from for this particular purpose, and then they would be paying in unemployment insurance with this bill. The fund is about a little under $500 million right now. Previous iterations of this bill sought a pretty sizable chunk to help pay for this immediately. We have worked very diligently to be responsible with the bill, understanding the expiration of Prop 30, and if it is to expire and not be extended, there'll be significant pressures across government. So this is a modest proposal. There are 4 phases of it. It starts off at 2 weeks unemployment insurance, and it ramps up over a 4 or 5 year period to 8 weeks, and that's the cap as we have in the bill. So it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and it's 2016, 17, 18, 19, and we do that because we recognize the fiscal pressure. So first year, based on previous iterations of the bill, it would likely be scored at roughly $35 million, maybe $30 million, and then it would increase about $30 million per year until it reached that 8 week period.
And so these classified employees every single year work for 10 months out of the year.
They do.
Off for 2 months, 10 months. And they've been working for how long? I mean, is this temporary? Are these temporary jobs?
These are full-time equivalent jobs, and unfortunately, at the wage that many earn, they qualify for public assistance. Ms. Flanagan's presentation is not unique. It is reflective of the experiences of many in various communities. It's exacerbated in areas that are high cost. So in portions of South Los Angeles, we have significant concentrations in the Los Angeles area, South Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, and the East San Fernando Valley, where there's significant clusters of education service workers. So janitors, gardeners, teachers, aides and assistants, cafeteria workers, and bus drivers primarily. And unfortunately, at the wage that they earn, there have been some improvements in the LAUSD, because a portion of those workers got a raise to $15 phased in over a number of years. But generally, they earn such a low wage that they qualify for public assistance in their current jobs. So government has unfortunately, in some of these instances, perpetuated poverty in low-wage employment. It is exacerbated in the summer because they don't get unemployment insurance, so they need more public assistance, housing vouchers. You heard about the issue with respect to our witness having to move out, summer energy assistance programs, delayed bills or subsidized energy and gas and water costs. And the EBT program, I think it's called CalFresh now, it used to be called food stamps, and the like. So investing in the unemployment insurance for summer, for these workers in the summer, actually saves the state on the public assistance side of it. So we don't have to do cash grants, food stamps, housing vouchers at the same level. if they have unemployment insurance, and they can negotiate with their utility providers and their landlords, or if they're paying a mortgage with the bank, in order to make it through the summer and to build financial security. It's also there's a report that we can get to the committee just for your own edification, because you sound like you want a little bit more information, called Cruel Summer. And that's really what we put the 285,000 workers that this relates to in the state because of our representative from the Labor Fed said discriminatory public policy. And there's no justification in 2015 why this state allows our education service workers who are serving our kids, who are the front line, who have more touches than parents during the week on a child, from having some modicum of economic security.
And I just want to, and you're doing a great job, by the way. I want to point that out.
Well,
you know the bill, and you know what you're aiming for here.
And I know the economies that are not realized if we keep people in poverty.
And so I appreciate that. The question for me is in regards to unemployment insurance, is this the proper way of addressing that? I'm wondering if maybe at the bargaining table is the proper place to address the inequities, the low pay. Because many of these workers, they're getting paid 10 months, but they ask for their pay to be given over 12 months. That's correct.
Teachers do that.
But classified employees don't. There isn't any classified employees that do.
Not that I'm aware of, and I will stand correct if I'm incorrect. But the reason is that this bill is here and we're coming to the insurance committee is because state law has decided to not allow education workers, and it was just a leftover item from a different set of economic realities and labor relation realities generations ago. Federal law is permissive. At one time, I think there was an outright federal ban, but federal law is permissive. States can choose to do what they want. States typically take the onus on themselves to honor these workers and allow them to do so. The reason that state law, so the presumption that the state law that currently exists is made upon is that a principal or an administrator is similar to an education, or a teacher is similar to an education service worker. Average salary for those three professional designations is $50,000. Average salary for education service workers is around $20,000. So we're dealing with different economies, but that's the implicit assumption in the law that all employees that work for education entities, local education agencies, are the same. And if they work during the summer, they don't need unemployment insurance. Whereas teachers, you and I know that teachers, principals, and administrators have a different income and a different opportunity. Some of them have consulting contracts. Many that live in Los Angeles do. They work during the summer. They teach during the summer in various ways. Yeah. And I should mention,
I think the question's been answered.
Okay.
His question is, I mean, with all due respect to all parties, do you have any other questions,
No,
Mr. Mace? All right. And I think
I think that is a close, Mr. Chairman.
That's close. Right. Any other, Ms. Grove, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a question, and thank you for answering my second question that I had on the federal law issue, because I see where it says that state law must deny benefits to, they call it professional or unprofessional, but
right.
I understand the difference, but that's what the analysis says. So where do, as in employers pay a percentage, like 6.9% of the first $7,000 that employees make, to a unemployment insurance fund to the state of California, which is underfunded completely and in debt to the federal government. That's what I wanted to know. Where does that money that pays these people?
EDD administers it, but it's called the Education Service Fund, or ESF, I think is the name of it. It should be in the analysis, but it's a special fund. It's a $500 million fund, and it's not underfunded. It is not from threat of from insolvency.
So who funds that, or where does that money come from?
The money, I believe, comes from school districts.
So the school districts pay into
They already do.
They pay into this fund,
Correct.
And it's used to fund unemployment insurance benefits
For school employees, yes.
For school employees, just not this section.
Correct.
Of school employees.
Correct.
And there's $500 million in there?
It's about 430, 470, I think, was last year's estimate. I haven't seen what it is this year. When I say last year, I mean 2014.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Frazier.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, we've had some of the school administrators talk about the burden that it cast, but what I'm seeing is during the recession, a lot of programs were cut during the summer schools were cut and whatnot, and those classified employees were necessary to run those programs. As we run, as a state, run back into success and out of the recession, you see that K-12 funding is becoming more prolific, and it's there. And schools are reopening their summer school programs and whatnot. So the burden is less as we go forward. But I want to commend your witness, the woman. Thank you so much for caring for those kids and being that coach and that surrogate parent. Thank you very much. And with that, you will get my undying support. I did vote for Mr. Bocanegra's bill, and thank you for being so passionate about this and knowing your bill. Thank you.
We try.
Yeah, no question the author knows the subject. Well done. Well done. Well done. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Rodriguez.
One comment. So I want to thank you very much for this bill. As I have several family members who are classified school employees, so I hear the struggles day in, day out, year after year. So I want to thank you very much for bringing this bill forward to address this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
We have a motion and second on this. Mr. Cooper, did you have a question or comment? All right. Okay. And we'll vote.
Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Beth Gaines. Beth Gaines, no. Travis Allen. Calderon. Calderon, aye. Cooley. Cooper. Aye. Cooper, aye. DeBobne. DeBobne, aye. Frazier. Aye. Frazier, aye. Gatto. Gatto, aye. Gonzalez. Grove. I'm sorry, no. Grove, no. Mays. No. Mays, no. Rodriguez. Aye. Rodriguez, aye.
7 votes. The bill passes this committee. On to the next step.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Mr. Chu is next up. With AB 1429. This is a companion bill to the bill that we approved a little while ago, the Nazarian Bill 1440. So this is a companion, and please go ahead, Mr. Chu.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, colleagues. Appreciate your consideration of AB 1429, which would help protect Californians and their property. Okay. Thank you for that. And with that, obviously you've heard from Mr. Nazarian the importance of this, the inadequacies of the current Brace and Bolt program, and how we want to expand that. Appreciate the support, and let's go on to our sponsors.
Robert Harrell with the Department of Insurance. We are the sponsors of the bill. I will not be redundant to the conversation we had on the other bill. Thank you.
Gilly Goff with the California Association of Realtors here in support, specifically because these small multifamily buildings tend to be soft-sided structures, which are particularly vulnerable to seismic events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean Topakian with the California Apartment Association. We are also very much in support. The costs associated with the 5 to 10 units are significant, and so this will be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? If not, any witnesses in opposition? There are none. Any committee comments? Mr. Gatto.
Just a quick question. Why do we limit this to Section 8 tenants?
If it were up to me, we'd be able to figure out how to retrofit every single apartment building. In the state, we needed to create some limitations on it. As you know, right now, the current program limits it to buildings with less than 4 units. So this is a program that would expand it from 5 to 10. And we thought it would be appropriate as a start to limit it to buildings with low-income tenants. But in the long term, this is an issue of resources and finances, and I'd be open to consider expanding it beyond that.
Yeah, because it just strikes me that income has nothing to do with the structure. If we're going to see our cities destroyed by earthquakes, both of us represent places that have suffered tremendously from earthquakes in history. And income has nothing to do with those walls and if they're braced and the foundation. And it just strikes me as kind of odd that we'd put an income limitation on this. I realize that resources are finite, but it's going to be hard for us, I think, to look apartment owner in the eye when you've got one building with 10 units right next door to another building with 10 units, and one has been retrofitted because they took advantage of this program, and the other one crumbled to the ground in an earthquake. I mean, so I don't understand why there's an income limitation. But
So currently, couldn't agree with you more. That being said, with buildings that have lower income streams, it's harder for those buildings to get other arrangements of financing to be able to retrofit those buildings. So that was some of the thought, but again, if we could expand it beyond that, I'd be happy to do that.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Frazier.
And just to reiterate with Mr. Nazarian, Mr. Chu, when you provide these programs, and I'm a contractor, I want to make sure that the individuals that are implementing these grants and receiving the money don't cherry pick and take the easiest item of retrofitting, that the most valued aspect of that building be considered. Because you can come in and do maybe a hold down or shear panel or, or anchor bolts or whatever. And so it needs to be determined what the best value for that individual structure. Because somebody could come in and cherry pick and say, it's retrofitted. Well, retrofitting itself only minimizes damage. It doesn't prevent. And so I'm looking forward to somebody putting in some kind of policy to make sure that the money's used wisely and it gets the best bang for the buck.
Right, and I know this was a question you had for Mr. Nazarian, and message heard loud and clear. We want to use our scarce dollars to ensure that the most important work gets done.
All right. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and second on the floor. Would you like to close, Mr. Chu?
Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Daly?
Aye.
Daly, aye. Beth Gaines? Aye. Beth Gaines, aye. Travis Allen? Calderon? Cooley? Aye. Cooley, aye. Cooper? Aye. Cooper, aye. DeBobne? Aye. DeBobne, aye. Frazier? Aye. Frazier, aye. Gatto? Aye. Gatto, aye. Gonzalez? Grove? Aye. Grove, aye. Mays? Aye. Mays, aye. Rodriguez? Aye. Rodriguez, aye.
Thank you, colleagues.
10 yes votes. The bill is on to the next step. Thank you, Mr. Chu. Mr. Cooley, this is the best time for you to present your bill. Mr. Cooley's bill is AB 704 regarding escrow services.
Very good. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. I'm here today to present AB 704.
Move the bill.
It's a popular bill.
And there's some suggested clarifying amendments in the analysis, which I am agreeable to. I want to state that, so it's as amended. Thank you very much for that motion. Independent escrow companies are regulated by the Financial Code, or under the Financial Code by the Department of Business Oversight, while underwritten title companies offering escrow services are regulated by the Insurance Code and the Department of Insurance. AB 704 takes language from the Financial Code, puts it in the Insurance Code, therefore aligning these different statutes, sort of an issue we've heard about here today. With the enactment of this bill, all underwritten title companies would now operate under aligned standards as opposed to within arbitrary limitations in their licenses. It increased consumer coverage up to a $50,000 bond. Here to testify in support is Craig Page and John Caldwell of the Land Title. Well, Craig. John's not here. Mr. Page, you want to speak to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, committee members, Craig Page of the California Land Title Association. I think the author has summarized the bill very well. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, Scott Governor here on behalf of Fidelity National Financial in support.
Mr. Chair and members, Aaron Norwood here on behalf of First American Corporation, also in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other witnesses in support? Are there any witnesses in opposition? Any committee comments or questions? Department of Insurance.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Members, Robert Harrell, Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Insurance. We technically have an opposed unless amended position on the bill. The Assembly member and I have discussed that. I have with me Jill Jacoby to very, very briefly just outline a couple of the issues as we continue negotiations on this important matter.
We are working together productively.
Jill Jacoby, Senior Attorney with the Department of Insurance.
We appreciate the effort of the bill, but we believe that there's going to be too much regulatory burden for too little consumer benefit. We were hoping to see the security increase, and we were hoping that the form of the security would be simple. It does not eliminate the deposit. It creates 3 different types of forms. Some of those would have to be approved by a department, and we had concerns about that. We have been working with CLTA, and we'd like to continue to work on improving the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Copey.
Thank you. Any other witness comments? If not, committee members, questions or comments? There's been a motion and second made. Thank you for the bill. Mr. Cooley, do you have any other comments or wrap-up?
I just request your aye vote on the bill as proposed to be amended, and I thank the staff for their collaboration on this.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Beth Gaines. Aye. Beth Gaines, aye. Travis Allen. Calderon. Aye. Calderon, aye. Cooley.
Aye.
Cooley, aye. Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. DeBobney.
Aye.
DeBobney, aye. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Gatto. Aye. Gatto, aye. Gonzalez. Grove. Aye. Grove, aye. Mays. Aye. Mays, aye. Rodriguez. Aye. Rodriguez, aye.
11 yes votes, bill's out. We have one more bill, which is mine, and I'll present it now. Ms. Gaines. Madam Vice Chair and members, this bill, AB 1072, regards police and fire benefit associations. Currently, these associations are authorized by law to provide long-term care and long-term disability insurance benefits for their members without any regulation from the state of California. Second. There's a motion and second. Thank you. The purpose of my bill is to provide certainty that the police officers and firefighters currently paying for benefits are truly protected and will receive the benefits that are being promised to them. The bill is a simple, one-time requirement for information to be sent to the insurance commissioner, and I emphasize it's a one-time requirement. The information asked for will be in the form of an actuarial report. This is a normal and common solvency evaluation tool. The bill does not create or empower the Department of Insurance to do anything additionally in terms of regulations. I want to propose an author's amendment to correct a small drafting error in the language. And again, to clarify, the bill calls for a one-time filing and only a one-time filing. Here with me are witnesses in support from PORAC and CCPOA. Please go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members, Madam Chair, members. Randy Perry with Aaron Reed Associates on behalf of PORAC. It's a very modest bill. We're all subject to it, and we agree with it. Thank you.
Craig Brown for the California Correctional Peace Officers Benefit Trust Fund. We're a co-sponsor and in support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Efrac Vargas with the California State Firefighters Association. We're in strong support. We're a sponsor of the bill. We were the sponsors of the impetus for this action. We sponsored a bill last year. Glad to work with the Insurance Commissioner's Office, with the staff of this committee, and with our brother co-sponsors.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Any others in support? Okay, those in opposition, please come forward.
I know, but that's okay.
Mark is pointing out that technically there's no opposition, but there may be some.
Good morning, Chair and members. Jeffrey Leacox, Greenberg Traurig, on behalf of the National Peace Officers and Firefighters Benefit Association. And I don't believe there is any opposition, so I'm jumping the gun a little bit. We want to thank the author for and his staff for their efforts to date. NPFPA is a jointly sponsored trust of two 11-400 organizations. It's been around about 15 years. It has $75 million in the bank available to pay future claims. And the underlying sponsor organizations each have $6 million in the bank to pay claims. Together they have over 40,000 members. And we appreciate the direction of the bill. We have some remaining concerns, which I'll summarize in less than a minute, which is that NPFBA offers long-term care benefits and has provided no less than 5 actuarial opinions to the Department of Insurance. The most recent one is currently being peer-reviewed at the request of the department. So I might take exception to the notion that there's no regulation by the department. We certainly feel that when they ask, we should respond. We do hold a certificate of authority issued by them. In the 30-year history of the sponsors of the 2 sponsor organizations LTD plans, the department has never asked for an actuarial opinion. And fundamentally, we think it doesn't really apply to that structure of plan, which most L11400s are. We have no problem with providing financial information and a review to meet the goal of the author, but we think that we may need to tweak a little bit when we're calling for a, quote, actuarial opinion, unquote. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any other opposition?
Chair Shane Levine, Member Shane Levine on behalf of the California Statewide Law Enforcement Association and the Association of Orange County Deputy Sheriffs. We are neutral at this point. We appreciate all the work the author and staff have done, and we will continue to work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Done with the support and the opposition. Questions from committee members? Mr. Cooley.
I was just going to say thank you for bringing this bill forward, and I just want to observe it is a minor bill, but it's not an inconsequential bill. In the area of benefits, what is really being protected by an actuarial study is the workers themselves, to the extent they place reliance on these plans, sort of are trusting to the future it's going to work out, and so they give away their time to have a plan B if the thing were not to be sound. So actuarial studies is a way we assure that a promise made today will be delivered in the future when it's called upon. The actuarial study is the foundation for that. So it is very important to ensure that expectations are met and people have not falsely placed reliance on something and get caught having given years of alternative earning, strategies away. So it's maybe a minor bill, but it's not inconsequential. It's very important to delivering on the promise. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper? No. Mr. Mays?
Mr. Leacox, do you have a second? I wanted to ask you a question because the last thing that you said concerned me a little bit. I know that was why would you, going back on Mr. Cooley's comments in regards to the actuarial soundness, why wouldn't you want to put together an actuarial plan or a report to make sure that your funds are sound?
Well, let me answer broadly. There are, as the analysis reflects, there are approximately 70 11400 plans. We have done no less than 5 actuarial analyses of our long-term care plan, which is a future promise to pay, at a cost of approaching $500,000. So the first concern is that most 11400s don't have the financial wherewithal that my client does and will not be able to afford an actuary. Our suggestion has been that we all provide data to one actuary and have one review done. Second, the way these 11400 plans are funded, the easiest concept to think of is pay as you go. To Mr. Assemblymember Cooley's comment, the cost of our long-term disability plan is $24.50 a month. In 1985, when those plans were established, the CLIA, the law enforcement plan, was $9.50 a month. So it's gone up about 2% a year over 30 years, although in increments. It's had years of stable dues. The way those plans work, the members decide the benefits and the members decide the dues. The members decide how much cushion they want to have in the bank. Those plans have over $6 million in the bank, and those funds are sufficient to pay operating expenses, ongoing claims, and reasonably anticipated near-term future claims. If that money starts diminishing, members have the ability to increase dues and replenish the amounts in the bank. If the bank amounts start accumulating, then they don't need increases, and conceivably they could consider decreases. But the promise is of police and fire to other police and fire members of the association to pay the benefits when they are claimed. An actuary comes in and asks the question, do you have sufficient money on hand if you never collected another dime to pay all of your obligations? That is an insurance type of model. Insurers have reserve requirements. They have investment rules related to those reserves. These associations, if you think of it more as a co-op, they stand at the ready for each other. What we would tell you is that these plans have been doing it for 30 years. They've paid out over $150 million in benefits. When they came into the market, some of our competitors were offering plans that cost people as much as $70 a month, and we were charging $9.50. So as Assemblymember Cooley said, I think the real beneficiaries here are the members of their plan and ours who have saved $50+ a month over the last 30 years that they could put to other purposes, whether it's a retirement account, food on the table, a new house, or whatever they choose. We're not making promises in the future that we're taking money to pay for. We're taking money today to pay for what's needed today. Thank you.
Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank Mr. Daly for bringing this forward. As someone that's paid into this plan for many, many years, I know the importance of it, and if you ever need it, you want to make sure the whatever plan you're involved in is solvent, because ultimately these members are out there risking their lives day in and day out for the public. So, my big issue is it's got to be solvent no matter what plan it is, and that's really the key to it.
Yep.
So thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Daly, would you like to close?
Respectfully request an aye vote.
Okay. Let's vote.
Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Beth Gaines. Aye. Beth Gaines, aye. Travis Allen. Calderon. Aye. Calderon, aye. Cooley. Aye. Cooley, aye. Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. DeBobne. Aye. DeBobne, aye. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Gatto. Aye. Gatto, aye. Gonzalez. Grove. Grove, aye. Mays.
Aye.
Mays, aye. Rodriguez. Aye. Rodriguez, aye. 10, 11.
Members, if you could stick around for 2 minutes. Ms. Gaines, are you still wanting to do a photo today? Can we? It'll take 2 minutes. Do we have it's been arranged. This is a tradition we want to uphold. Yep. We're adding on right now.
Okay, we'll start with consent.
Yes. Go ahead, Tracy.
Beth Gaines. Aye. Beth Gaines, aye. Travis Allen. Calderon. Aye. Calderon, aye. Cooley. Aye. Cooley, aye. Gatto.
Gatto, aye.
Gatto, aye. Grove. Aye. Oh, Grove, aye.
That completes the add-ons.
Where's the picture at? We're going to, we'll probably want to issue back there. You'll be back here.
Did I mess everything up?
Perfect timing, no? We're adding on too, Lorena.
Yes. No, wait.
Sure.
Where are you?
I'm here. I was dealing with the city of Irvine.
Yeah.
Close up the picture.